Truth Tuesday, take two. So we're going to be talking about launching and what's normal, what to expect, what can create a successful launch, and what do you want to be aware of so that it doesn't derail your launch. So the first thing you want to remember is that do not compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. You also have no idea what is going on for them behind the scenes. So you can only see what they are outwardly putting on social media, and that's how you're comparing it to your launch. So you're not seeing the behind the scenes of their launch either. So things that are totally normal to feel during a launch is one, exhaustion. People feel tired, exhausted, like they're hustling and they're not seeing results. You want to focus on the actions rather than the results, because your actions are what is going to determine if your launch is successful or not. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that think about when you see an airplane, for example. An airplane, we're looking at the finished product. The airplane has been created over and over and over again. Amendments have been made. They've been producing them for years and years and years. But we are not looking at the person who invented the airplane the very first time. They had a lot of trial and error. They had a lot of disappointments. They had a lot of things that worked and didn't work. And that's how we have the airplanes that we have today. So it starts by doing it and making amendments as you go. And know that the first time you do something does not necessarily mean that the third or fifth or 10th time you do it is going to be the same. So if it's imperfect, or you make mistakes, or there are disappointments, or you have some unmet expectations, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a failure. It's just your first time. The very first time you tried to walk, you didn't walk perfectly either. And you maybe didn't get as far as you can walk today. So notice that the first time you launch a program, it's in its baby stages and it's going to get better and better from there. So do be compassionate with yourself around launching. And yes, it's exhausting, because a launch is a long period of time where you're promoting something, you're doing webinars, you might be doing challenges, or you might be very visible, and you might be doing a lot of things. There's a lot of steps in launching a program for the very first time and having a successful launch. So you might be overwhelmed with all the things you're doing, and you're creating them for the very first time. But then next time you launch the program, all those things will be created for you, and you'll be focusing on other things. So notice that you're laying the groundwork, and yes, it's exhausting and tiring, but it will not be like this forever. You're not going to launch 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So a launch is a 6-week to 3-month process of going hard and then resting. So you don't want to be going so long and so hard that you end up quitting before you have the results that you want, because that is the biggest mistake I see people doing, is that they give up and they say, it didn't work out, my launch wasn't successful, I didn't get as many people as I wanted, I can't run this program anymore, or I can't run it again, because they gave up before they really had any time to see if it was going to be a success or not. And really, you only determine if you failed when you stop trying, when you give up on something. So don't give up too early. If you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling run down and burnt out, take rest. Don't quit, and don't say it wasn't a success, it wasn't a great program, nobody wants to join. And that brings me to a really great topic, is that I hear all the time, nobody wants to join my program, nobody's joining, it's not going to work out, there's not going to be anybody in there. This is a mindset thing. So keeping your mindset in a positive space of trusting the universe, of trusting that the people who are meant to be in your program will come to you is super important, because the moment that you get those doubts in your mind, the moment that you think that it's not going to work out, is the moment your vibration changes and you no longer are being the type of person, you're no longer being visible or being the coach or being the trainer or being the influencer, the leader that those people require to see in order to join your program. So you want to check in with yourself on what are the doubts that are coming into my mind. Where is my mindset? Where is my energy? Do I believe that it's not going to work out, or do I believe that it's all going to happen? It's all going to work out. I'm doing everything in my power to make it happen, and so it will happen. And I have an example for that as well. So let's talk about the very first time that you heard about an electric car. The very first time I heard about it, I was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool, but I mean, how about this and how about that? I had all these objections to an electric car. How is it going to run? It doesn't go very far. Like, is this really going to work out? Is this really the next stage? Is this really what's going to happen in the world? Are all cars going to be electric? Right? We had all these questions or objections to it because it was the very first time we heard about it. Now, the very first time that people hear about your program, they might have some objections to it. They might not know much about it. So they need to hear about it many, 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 many times before they are ready to try it out, to join, to take the next step with joining your program. Because I hear a lot where people are like, well, I'm promoting, and nobody's joining my program. Well, they need to hear about it a couple of times, not even a couple, a lot of times, because one, they're hearing about a lot of other programs and why your program over another program, and they need to figure it out inside of themselves that this is the program for them. And not to mention that after you've launched it a couple of times and they continue to hear about it launch after launch, they're going to be more inclined to purchase it, right? Like when you first hear about a brand that's brand new, you're kind of weary about it. And you're like, I don't know if, that's for me. I don't know anything about them. I've never heard of them. Are they good? I've never heard of anyone doing that program. I've never heard of anybody working with that coach. I've never heard anything about this person or this program before. So I don't have the confidence in it that this is the right program for me, or that it's going to be good, or that it's going to get me results, because I've never heard about it. It's the same thing with a brand. So you want to focus on the fact that the first time you launch something, you're just letting people know about it for the very first time. They've never heard of it. So they need to hear about it a lot. And they need some support, and they need some help and some reasons to join, right? It's all about giving them reasons to join the program. Why now? Why should they join the program now? Why is this the program for them? Why are you the coach for them, or the trainer for them, or the nutritionist for them, or the spiritual guide, or whatever it is that you're doing in your business? They need to hear about it a lot more if they've never heard about it before. And over time, again, comparing your beginning to someone else's middle, over time, it becomes something they've heard about multiple times, and they're much more aware of what's included and people going through it, etc. So it becomes a little bit easier. Every time you launch it, it's going to be easier. You're going to learn things. So all those things around nobody's joining, I'm exhausted, there's so many things, it's not going to work out. Like, these are all normal things that do come up, but they are things that you cannot allow to derail you, because it's the people that give up on their programs that end up not having a successful course launch, because they end up like jumping from thing to thing to thing, and then people are always hearing about a new program. They're never hearing you talk about the same program over and over again, because you're always changing the program. So they never get to hear the one thing, right? They never hear your signature program. And then every time you struggle with those same launching hurdles or speed bumps to getting people to join, you're always launching something brand new and they've never heard about it. So the other thing around that is that people are going to say no, and people are going to wait until the very last second. So they are going to back out. They are going to say to themselves like, oh, like I'm interested, but maybe not now. This isn't the right time. Maybe next time. That's normal too. It's normal for people to even say yes and then come back to you and say, oh, you know what, actually, I don't think this is right for me. I don't think this is the right time. This thing came up, that thing came up, because they didn't get stuck in the situation that they're stuck in by actually taking action to change it. They got stuck in it because they have been struggling to take action to do something different, to get help, to make the change. Nobody is creating a program around something that people can change easily, because if they could change it easily, they wouldn't need your program. So supporting people in making that decision and recognizing that their fears and their doubts are coming into their mind along the process too. So it's not about you, it's more so about them, and how can you support them in taking the steps that they need to take to get the result that they want to get. Because again, they just didn't get into this situation by taking action to change it. They got into the situation they're in by backing out of making changes, by saying, oh no, this isn't the right time. It's never the right time. There is no such thing as the right time. The right time is when they decide that they've had enough and that they're ready to make a change. And one of the things that was really powerful during my very first launch, or I can't even remember if it was during my first launch or when I was very new at this, one of my coaches said to me, you know, if they don't sign up for your program, they're either going to give up, stay stuck, or they're going to join someone else's program. So if you know that they are either going to stay stuck, join someone else's program, or give up, you know that it is part of your duty as a coach, business owner, program creator, helper, teacher, to help them make that change, to take the actions and the steps to do that. And yes, it takes a lot of time and effort to support people, but as you do it, after the very first time, I promise you it gets easier. And then you have people who are also been through the program and can also support that in testimonials and social proof and talking about it and telling people and referrals, etc. So know that just because people back out or people say it's not the right time doesn't mean that they don't actually want to say yes, doesn't mean that they won't say yes in a couple of days or in the future if you help and support them to do that. Maybe there's some objections that you need to answer. Maybe they have some questions. Maybe they're not really sure if this is for them. So dealing with those objections is super important in that process so that you are speaking to exactly the things that are holding them back during their launch. The next thing that you want to remember is that people join at the very last second. I really truly don't know why this happens, but it's probably because they were staying stuck and they've been in this position because they're struggling to move forward. But people wait till the very last moment, till the doors are almost closed before they join a program. Again, that goes back to the fact that they're stuck, right? So it's not easy for them to make these changes. It's not easy for them to decide to join your program. It's not easy for them to commit to making a change in their life that will bring them their desired results. So recognizing that just because somebody hasn't joined in the 4 or 5 weeks, or maybe 5.5 weeks that you've been promoting your program every single day and nobody has joined, doesn't mean that nobody's going to join, because it literally can change in an instant. Because when you start to close it, when the price starts to go up, I mean, a lot of people end up paying the higher price because they wait so long, but even when that happens, people wait to the very last moment where they don't have a choice, where they can't wait any longer. We procrastinate making a decision. We procrastinate committing to things. We procrastinate putting our money where our mouth is, and by taking a leap that feels terrifying. Keep in mind that most of these people that are coming to you are going to be scared. They're going to wonder if this is going to work. They've likely tried other things, or they didn't get into the stuck position for no reason. They've tried other things. They have not been successful. So it's really terrifying to invest in something that you've not been successful at in the past. Recognize that in them. Recognize that your own journey into making the change. How many times did you try to make a change that you were not successful? How many products or programs did you join? How many or buy? How many things did you invest in? How many books did you read? Audios did you listen to? How many videos did you watch? How many things have you tried already? That's what they're going through right now. So recognizing that they're struggling with that, and it has nothing to do with how amazing your program is or is not. It's about what they themselves are struggling with, and how can you support them in moving forward and taking an action, and noticing that it's not you, that people wait till the last second. Okay, so what other things? Okay, comparing yourself. We did that one. To be exhausted. Okay. It's also normal to feel overwhelmed, to feel like an imposter, to feel like, maybe this is not meant for you. And you're doubting yourself and feeling like an imposter and feeling overwhelmed because this is your first time doing it. This is your first time running this program. This is your first time setting up all these systems. This might be your first time doing a webinar. It's a lot of firsts. There's so many little pieces and components that go into a launch to make it successful that you're a beginner. You're beginning. And it's okay to be a beginner and feel overwhelmed. But know that, for example, for me, so it's September now, I hadn't even launched my very first program last September. So you guys have seen, especially if you're in my Facebook group, the Ladies Living Courageously Facebook group, you have seen how much I have grown in less than a year. I've launched my program 3 times. I've gone through 3 groups of people. I've had many one-to-one clients. Like, my programs have been amazing. And the reason that, I just keep doing the same program, but at the beginning, I went through all this stuff too, and it wasn't even a year ago. So in a year from today, you could be in a completely different position if you stick with it. If you know that you're a beginner and know that that's okay, because in a year from now, you won't be a beginner. And you'll know how to do this stuff, and it will be so much easier for you. Now, I will say that launching is still exhausting, even to me, because, you're putting your everything in for a short amount of time. It doesn't feel so short, but it is a short amount of time in comparison to the rest of the year. You might be launching for 6 weeks, and that's a lot of time to be, putting your everything in every single day, especially if you're working, especially if you're a mom, especially if you're doing other things in your life. Maybe you're planning a wedding or you're pregnant or something like that. But it's exhausting. It's a lot of work. But the benefit of it at the end is that you have this amazing group of people. And people give up right when people are about to join. Because they're like, oh, well, nobody's paying attention, nobody's listening. They give up, and then they never have that group. So commit to your program launch, however long that is. Commit to doing everything, not giving up, to taking rest when you feel like quitting, and to doing everything in your power to get those people into your program for that amount of time, and then being so engaged and so focused on the people that join your program once it's running. Now, the last thing, but really the most important part of launching, and the real truth of what's really happening behind the scenes that we're not talking about, is that everyone is struggling with it, is questioning, is this really going to work out? Do I really trust this? How come nobody's joining? Am I doing enough? I'm hustling so hard and I'm not seeing any results. Like, every single person is dealing with that is launching. Whether they're launching a 7-figure launch, a 5-figure launch, whether they're launching a program where they're like, I just want 4 people. And knowing that it's going to be amazing, and the people that join, it's all going to be worth it for them. Like, they're going to, I know people, for example, who went through the whole launch experience, and you know what? They did it all, they gave it their all, and they only had 3 people join their program. Or some people even had 1 person join their program. And they're like, ugh, like, should I even run it? Well, that is 3 people or 1 person that wanted to join, which means that there are lots of other people out there, and making it amazing for them means that you can now use their results in your next launch, in your next conversation. Having that program on your roster is something you can sell people into throughout the year. And it doesn't have to end on that moment. Just because they didn't join on that day doesn't mean that they can't ever join, that they can't join in a month, that you could run a different promo, that you could do a fast action thing, that you can do. There's so many other ways to get people into a new program. And now that you have the program there, you can actually sell them into it. So even if 1 person joins your program or 3 people join your program, continue to run it for those people and be present and trust that there will be more people. Every time you talk about it, every time you launch it, every time you run it again, there's going to be more people. You have to start somewhere. Nobody starts off as a professional. And yeah, everybody talks about having a 5-figure launch and a 7-figure launch and a 6-figure launch. And yes, those are coming to you as well if you believe and trust that they are. So it starts with your mindset. If you doubt that it's going to be successful, you're not going to take the action that you need to take in order to make it successful. You're going to give up. You're going to show up as like, you know what, nobody wants to join my program. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about me either, guys. There's literally nothing special. The only special thing about me as a person, I guess, is the fact that I refuse to give up. I refuse. I'm sorry. That is just not an option. It is not an option for it not to work. And if I don't really feel something, if something's not working and I'm not really feeling it and not liking it, or like it's not hitting home, I go back to the drawing board and I amend things, I change things. I don't throw in the towel because you didn't create your program. I mean, I'm not working with everybody in my business page or in my Facebook group, but the people that I am working with, hopefully you are working with a coach and you are getting some support around this, but you didn't create the program with nobody in mind, I hope, right? You spoke to people, you planned it, you heard from things, you knew that you were filling some sort of pain point for somebody with your program. You were helping them in some way. And there is a market for those people. Like maybe you're not connecting with them. Maybe they didn't see it. Ooh, maybe you haven't promoted it enough. Maybe you weren't as visible. I hear a lot of people who say to me, well, Tanya, like I don't want to spam people. I don't want to promote it too much. I don't want to be too salesy. Okay. If people don't like it, see ya. Like, that's what you're here for. You're a business owner. So if they don't want to join your program, if they don't like what you have to say, if they don't want to hear about it, they can leave. They don't need to follow you. They don't need to see what you're doing. But if they're not interested in your program, then why does it matter if they don't want to see you posting about your program? Likely, the people that see you posting about your program likely need it. They wouldn't be following you if the things that you talked about had nothing to do with your program and had nothing to do with the things that they struggle with. So be unapologetic. No more questioning, am I promoting it too much? Am I talking about it too much? No, you're never talking about it too much. Talk about it every day, 3 times a day, because most people are not seeing it. Not everybody sees it every single time you talk about it. And if it bothers people, great. Social media is free. They can unfollow you. They can remove themselves from your group. Like they can do whatever they want. That's not your problem. Your problem is that you have to show up as the expert who is there to help people. If you're there to help people, you are there to talk about your offers and talk about your services so that people can join them and so that they can get the help that they need. So if you're questioning, if you're promoting too much, promote more, basically. Promote more. Talk about it more. You're not bothering the people that need to hear it. So get more visible. Funny enough, I will be running a training. My webinar for Quit Hiding and Get Visible is this coming Sunday. I'll put the link in this video, but that was besides the point. So get more visible, get more vocal, get more unapologetic about selling, about talking to people, about helping them move beyond their fears of joining. And remember that all these things, the highs and lows, the I want to give up, this is not working, I'm not going to get the people that I want to, like, am I really cut out for this? Is my program actually going to work out? Is anybody going to buy it? Those Doubts are normal. Take rest when you feel exhausted. It's an exhausting process, and nobody is telling you it isn't. That's why you see all those other programs out there saying, you never have to launch again. And this is true. You might never want to launch again, and that's fine, but you want to perfect the program, the launch process, so that you can set it on evergreen in the future. But you need to perfect the launch process first so that you can have a successful evergreen launch, so that you don't have to launch again. But it's all coming. If you start out as a beginner, you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, like you don't know what you're doing, that's because this is your first time. It's normal. Get some support. Don't give up. Be unapologetic about sales. Take rest when you feel like quitting. What else did I have on here? Shift your mindset. Make sure that your mindset is trusting that the universe is bringing you people, trusting that exactly the right people are going to be a part of your program, trusting that they're on their way to you, and talking about it over and over so that you're helping people move beyond their fears and join your programs. I think that was all that I had to say. And most people will join at the last moment. That's totally normal too. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle, and focus on your actions rather than your results. If you guys have any questions about launching, please feel free to leave a message in the comments below. I will post a link for my live webinar that's happening on Sunday. It's called the Quit Hiding and Get Visible, and it's live training, I guess, and it's all about how to move beyond your fears of getting visible with video, just like me, so that you can promote, so that people can know, like, and trust you, so you can be seen as an expert, and so that you can get help with, what's it called? I've blanked on the name of, anyways, so that you can like put out the fire on the self-doubt thoughts. I don't know what that word is, but so that you can move beyond your fear and self-doubt that's getting in the way of you getting visible and promoting your programs and making money and being seen as an expert because you feel like an imposter. And we're going to be talking about all of that on Sunday, September the 10th. It's at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. in the UK. I don't know if that's like British Standard Time, but we're going to be doing it live. The reason I do this live is because I want to have a conversation with you guys around what fears and doubts are coming up for you, so that you can get some support and help to move forward. Because if you don't get visible, people can't find you or your business. If you don't get visible, you don't sell and you give up on your business, and nobody wants that, because we need all of you guys in the world. We need more change makers. We need more helpers. We need more leaders and coaches and trainers and teachers and guides. We need all of you. So if you're watching this message, we need you. And we as a collective humanity require you to do the work you are called to do. And that means that you're going to have to get visible. And yes, video is a great way to do it. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And we're going to have a deep discussion around how to move forward from the thoughts and the mindset and the fears and the self-doubt that is keeping you from doing that in your business. So definitely join me live on Sunday. If you have any questions about launching your program, if you're struggling with feelings that are highs and lows, maybe you feel like quitting your launch, maybe you want to throw in the towel, do not throw in the towel. Shoot me a message. Let's discuss it, because it would break my heart to know that you gave up on something that was like on the precipice of people joining. So the more you talk about it, the more people will see it, the more they're going to want to join your program, and the more people who are going to get help and make changes in their life that you were put on this earth to do. Okay? So I shall see you guys very soon on Sunday live, and join me for Truth Tuesdays every Tuesday now instead of Q&A Tuesday. See you guys soon.